Yeah, what about privacy issues? We haven't talked about those yet. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, can you think either of cases in your career
Mm-hmm.
where a person's privacy may have been violated, and maybe you would do it differently now, or
Mm-hmm.
have standards evolved in that
Mm-hmm.
area, or has there been a deterioration of standards in that area because we grant people less privacy than we used to?
Well, asking about my career, I think that in my time as managing editor of the Inquirer, we number of stories that we did. I think that we looking at individual people or families. I think that maybe they weren't properly briefed. We'd like to think that if they're going to bare their souls to our reporter, and then through the reporter to our reading public, then they need to be give informed consent, and it ought to be sort of a negative sales job that they ought to that you need to understand that this is going to be in the paper, and we want you to be comfortable with that. I mean, we'd like to tell your story, but it's going to be this is a very intimate story, and please, you'll think about that. And I think that we probably should have emphasized that a lot more and make sure our reporters were getting informed consent. And a case study in my book that you've probably seen before is Heart Without a Home, done by the Raleigh News and Observer a few years ago, in which they had a good idea. They were going to try to put a face, human face, on the immigrants from Mexico who worked in North Carolina. And so they got this worker, Julio Granados, to be the person that they would do the story. Granados got deported after the story came out, which a lot of people at the paper suspected that was going to happen when they saw the story themselves. And Granados said later that he did not give informed consent in so many words, that it was okay to tell my story, but not the fact that I don't have papers. And the reporter who said that he did, and she's fluent in Spanish, is a Hispanic herself, says he did, that he was a grown person. She said that he asked, they read this in Charlotte being code for the Immigration and Naturalization Service in that region. And she said, they might. And he said, well, tell my story. But this is what happened. And I think that the upshot was that the editors felt that they probably should have done a better job of making sure Julio understood exactly what was going to happen.